Golden afternoon light bathes their backyard as Michael makes final adjustments to the anniversary party setup. Each detail has been choreographed with the precision of a dance they've perfected over months. Chairs positioned at specific angles for easy access. Tables at the perfect height for comfortable seating. Paths subtly marked with solar-powered garden lights that look decorative but serve as guidance markers. Sarah watches from their bedroom window as guests begin to arrive, her hands trembling slightly as she fastens her favorite necklace, a 15th anniversary gift Michael had chosen specifically for its magnetic clasp. "Let me," he says softly, appearing behind her in the mirror. Their eyes meet in the reflection. 15 years of shared history flowing between them like a silent conversation. The party unfolds like a masterclass in subtle compassion. Emma, Sarah's sister, arrives with stemless wine glasses that look elegant but are easier to grip. Their old college friend Tom, now a caterer, has designed a menu of bite-sized hors d'oeuvres that can be easily managed with one hand. Even Sarah's mother, who struggled initially with her daughter's diagnosis, has learned to hover less and support more. During the group photos, Michael positions himself naturally on Sarah's more affected side, his hand steady at her waist. When her arm trembles, he smoothly turns it into a candid moment, making everyone laugh with a joke about how they're still as shaky with romance as they were on their first date. The photographer catches the genuine smiles that follow. The cake-cutting ceremony becomes a moment of quiet triumph. Instead of the traditional posed shot, Michael and Sarah cut it together, his hand steadying hers on the knife, in what appears to be an intimate embrace. Their friends capture the moment on their phones, not seeing the careful orchestration behind the scene. Just two people in love, sharing a milestone. Speech. Someone calls out, and Michael stands, champagne glass in hand. He looks at Sarah, radiant in her blue dress, and suddenly the carefully prepared words fade away. 15 years ago, he begins, his voice soft, but carrying across the garden. "I promised to dance with Sarah through whatever life brought us. Back then, I thought I knew what love was." He pauses, emotion making his voice rough. But watching Sarah face each day with grace, seeing her adapt and grow stronger, she's taught me that real love isn't about grand gestures. It's about learning new steps when the music changes. Sarah rises to stand beside him, her hand finding his with practiced ease. The tremor is visible, but neither of them tries to hide it anymore. Their guests raise their glasses, many wiping away tears, as the setting sun paints the sky in shades of promise. Later, as twilight softens the edges of their garden, Sarah's colleague Lisa approaches them. "This is the most beautiful anniversary party I've ever attended," she says sincerely. "Everything feels so intentional." Sarah squeezes Michael's hand, understanding flowing between them. Because that's exactly what their love has become: intentional, adaptive, stronger for having weathered the storms together. The morning starts like any other, the soft whir of their programmable coffee maker, the distant sound of traffic building on Market Street, the gentle ping of Sarah's medication reminder. Michael is reviewing work emails at the kitchen counter when he hears it, the hollow thud from their bathroom, followed by a sound he's never heard Sarah make before, something between a sob and a scream. His coffee mug shatters on the floor as he runs, his heart hammering against his ribs. The bathroom door is locked. "Sarah?" His voice cracks. "Sarah, please answer me." "I'm fine," comes her voice, but it's all wrong. Tight with pain or frustration or both. Just, "I need a minute." The sound of running water doesn't quite mask her quiet crying. Michael rests his forehead against the door, his hand on the knob, trapped between respecting her privacy and protecting her safety. "I'm right here," he says to the white-painted wood. "Whatever you need." When she finally opens the door, she's fully dressed, but her hair is still dripping, creating dark patches on her blouse. "I couldn't wash it," she whispers, not meeting his eyes. "My hands wouldn't. I couldn't even wash my own hair." The admission seems to cost her something vital, as if saying it aloud makes it more real than the diagnosis ever did. Michael guides her to their bed, wrapping her in their softest towel. His fingers work through her tangled hair with gentle efficiency, each stroke a wordless promise. They're 20 minutes late to work, but her hair is clean, dried, and styled. A small victory that feels like both a triumph and a harbinger of challenges to come. That evening, after Sarah takes her evening medication and drifts into uneasy sleep, Michael finds himself in their garden. The motion sensor lights click on as he paces, casting harsh shadows across the vegetables they'd planted together in more optimistic times. His carefully maintained composure finally cracks, and the tears come, for Sarah's struggles, for their changing future, for his own fear of not being strong enough. Gardenias need more water than that, son. The voice startles him. Frank, that elderly neighbor, stands at the fence in striped pajamas, watering can in hand. Though those might be different tears than the ones they're wanting. Michael hastily wipes his eyes, but Frank waves off the gesture. "My Claire," he says, his voice soft with memory. "She fought MS for 12 years. Proudest woman I ever knew. Hardest thing wasn't watching her struggle. It was watching her try to hide it from me, because she thought she had to be strong." Frank sets down his watering can and comes around through the garden gate, his slippered feet silent on the grass. Want to know what real strength looks like? He settles onto the garden bench, patting the space beside him. "It looks like letting yourself break sometimes, so you can learn how to put yourself back together stronger." They sit in companionable silence as Frank shares stories about Claire, her determination, her humor, the way they learned to dance together even after the wheelchair. As the night deepens, they plant a new row of Sarah's favorite lavender. Their conversation about resilience, punctuated by the gentle sound of soil being turned and roots being settled into new ground. The graphics tablet sits on Sarah's desk like a memorial to her former life, its sleek surface collecting dust, while the cursor on her screen jumps erratically with each attempted movement. She's been staring at the same logo design for 3 hours, the client's deadline looming like a storm cloud on the horizon. The trash bin icon on her computer overflows with deleted attempts, each one a testament to the growing gap between her creative vision and her body's ability to execute it. Michael watches from the doorway of their home office, his heart heavy as Sarah's frustrated sigh fills the room. His lunch break research tabs remain open on his phone. Adaptive technology for artists, voice-controlled design software, accessibility tools for graphic designers. 3 weeks of careful investigation, countless reviews read, and hours spent in online forums where other artists share their stories of adaptation. "I got an interesting email today," he says casually, entering the room with 2 cups of tea. "Remember Jason from it at my firm? His sister works for that new AI-assisted design startup in Seattle." Sarah's eyes remain fixed on her screen, but her shoulders tense slightly. "Michael, I don't need." She's offering to demo their new voice-controlled interface, he continues, setting down her favorite lavender tea in the special grip-friendly mug he'd found online. Apparently, they're looking for professional designers to beta test their system. Paid consultation work. This catches her attention. Beta test? The word consultation hangs in the air, a role that acknowledges her expertise rather than her limitations. Over the weekend, Michael transforms their rarely used guest room into what he privately thinks of as Sarah's studio of the future. The adaptive technology arrives in sleep boxes that promise possibility, motion tracking cameras that can interpret broad gestures, voice recognition software calibrated specifically for design commands, and a revolutionary AI system that can smooth tremor-induced inconsistencies while maintaining the artist's original intent. When he finally shows her the room, Sarah stands speechless in the doorway. Afternoon light streams through the windows he's adjusted to eliminate screen glare, highlighting the ergonomic workspace that looks more like a creative sanctuary than a modified office. "Try it," he encourages softly, guiding her to the comfortable chair positioned at the perfect height. "Design mode, activate," Sarah speaks tentatively. The system hums to life, responding to her voice with gentle confirmation tones. "Create new artboard, 1920 by 1080 pixels." The screen responds instantly. When her hand trembles as she tries to indicate where she wants a shape, the motion tracking camera interprets her intended gesture rather than her physical limitations. Tears begin to fall as she realizes she can still create, just differently. This isn't a workaround, Michael says, noticing her complex expression. This is evolution. Like how photography didn't replace painting, it just gave artists a new way to express their vision. That evening, Sarah completes her first design using the new system. The logo isn't perfect in the traditional sense. It carries subtle organic variations that no standard software would create. But there's a unique beauty in its slight imperfections, a human quality that her client later describes as exactly what we didn't know we were looking for. The Anderson and Associates conference room gleams with the sort of corporate polish that Sarah's firm prides itself on. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Michael watches from the lobby as his wife arranges her presentation materials with painstaking precision. He'd taken an early lunch break to surprise her with her favorite sushi, knowing this pitch could make or break her career. Now, that decision feels like fate's cruel kindness. Sarah stands at the podium, every inch the professional in her charcoal suit and signature red glasses. To most of the executives settling into their chairs, she probably looks completely normal. But Michael sees what they don't. The slight tremor in her hand as she reaches for the laser pointer, the way she shifted her weight to steady herself, the almost imperceptible tightening around her eyes. The presentation begins smoothly enough. Sarah's voice carries the same confidence that won her the firm's Designer of the Year award 2 years running. Then it happens. The laser pointer beam starts to dance erratically across the screen, skipping over key design elements like a stone across troubled water. Sarah pauses, takes a breath, switches hands. The tremor worsens. Marcus, her junior associate, steps forward so smoothly it almost seems choreographed. Let me advance the slides for you, Sarah. That way you can focus on walking us through the concept. His voice is casual, professional, but Michael sees Sarah's shoulders stiffen at the implicit acknowledgement of her struggle. The rest of the presentation becomes a study in professional composure versus physical betrayal. Sarah's words remain eloquent, her design concepts brilliant, but her body rebels against her will. Coffee sloshes over the edge of her cup during the Q&A session. Her signature on the preliminary contract looks like it belongs to someone 3 times her age. When the clients finally file out, Sarah maintains her smile until the last power suit disappears around the corner. Then she turns to Michael, still waiting patiently in the lobby, and her professional mask crumbles. Without a word, he guides her to the building's back stairwell, their special spot since her diagnosis, where the concrete walls and empty space can absorb any amount of emotion. I've worked with some of them for 5 years. Sarah's voice echoes in the stairwell. Did you see how they looked at me? Not at my designs, at me. Like I'm already obsolete. Her fist pounds against the wall, once, twice, until Michael gently catches it in his own. They approve the designs, he reminds her softly, because they're brilliant, just like you. The designs I created before. She gestures helplessly with her trembling hand. How long until I can't even do that? Instead of offering empty reassurances, Michael pulls her close, letting her tears soak into his shirt. His own grief falls silently into her hair, hidden but present, like so many emotions they're both learning to carry. In the harsh fluorescent light of the stairwell, they hold each other, 2 people facing a storm that no umbrella can shield them from. The Dancing Through Life studio glows warm against the deepening twilight, its weathered brick exterior concealing the intimate space where Michael and Sarah have spent every Thursday evening for the past 7 years. Tonight, the familiar scent of wood polish and subtle hints of vanilla from the owner's perpetually burning candles can't quite calm Sarah's nerves as they enter. Their usual spot in the back corner feels more like a spotlight than a sanctuary. Sarah's hands tremble as she changes into her dance shoes, the simple act of tying laces now a conscious battle between mind and muscle. Michael pretends not to notice, busing himself with their water bottles, giving her the dignity of this small struggle. Maybe we should skip tonight. Sarah whispers as other couples filter in, their fluid movements a stark reminder of what she's losing. I don't want to embarrass you. Before Michael can respond, Elena, their instructor, glides over. Her silver hair is twisted in its usual elegant knot, her smile genuine, but her eyes showing recognition of Sarah's distress. My favorite couple. I've been working on something special for today's class. The music starts, a slow rumba, their wedding song. Sarah takes position in Michael's arms, her body tense with anticipation of failure. The first step goes well, but on the second turn, her balance wavers. Her foot catches and she stumbles, accidentally kicking Michael's shin. "This is stupid," Sarah hisses, tears of frustration brightening her eyes. The other couples maintain a polite pretense of not watching, but their awkward glances burn. She turns to leave, but Michael's gentle grip on her hand stops her. "Remember our first date?" he murmurs, pulling her close. "I stepped on your toes 7 times. You said I'd dance like a drunk giraffe." His soft humming joins the music as he begins to sway, not following any particular steps, just feeling the rhythm. Elena watches them for a moment, then snaps her fingers. "Everyone stop." She dims the studio lights until the room glows softly, internet shadows dancing on the walls. "Tonight, we learn something new, something real." She guides each couple to modify their holds, showing them how to move with less structure but more connection. "Dance isn't about perfection," she announces, her voice carrying years of wisdom. "It's about trust, about moving together through space and time, about finding beauty in the moment." Under the gentler lighting, Sarah gradually relaxes into their new rhythm. When her leg trembles, Michael's subtle shift makes it look like part of their dance. When her grip falters, he adjusts seamlessly, turning weakness into artistic choice. Other couples begin to mirror their style, creating a room full of deeply personal interpretations of the music. "Look around," Michael whispers in Sarah's ear as they sway. "Everyone's dancing like us now. We're not adapting to them, they're adapting to us." Sarah's laugh, soft but genuine, mingles with the music. For the first time in weeks, her smile reaches her eyes, crinkling the corners in the way Michael fell in love with a decade ago. By the end of class, 3 other couples have asked to learn their innovative style. Elena winks at them as they gather their things, and Sarah squeezes Michael's hand, a gesture of gratitude more eloquent than words. The rhythmic ticking of the wall clock feels like a hammer in Michael Chen's skull as he watches his 5th cup of coffee turn cold. The waiting room's attempts at comfort, faded watercolor prints, and outdated magazines seem to mock the gravity of this endless afternoon. A young mother struggles with her toddler 2 seats over, the child's laughter a jarring contrast to the heavy atmosphere surrounding Michael. His mind wanders back to this morning, when Sarah had been her usual vibrant self, rolling her eyes at his concern. "It's probably just too much time hunched over my drafting tablet," she'd said, trying to still her slightly trembling hand by pressing it flat against their kitchen counter. But Michael had noticed the tremors getting worse over the past few months. The way she'd switched to using her left hand for her morning coffee, how she'd begun avoiding their favorite ceramic bowls in favor of plastic ones. The neurologist's office door opens with a soft click that somehow sounds like thunder. Dr. Harrison's face carries that carefully constructed expression that medical professionals perfect over years of delivering life-altering news. Sarah emerges behind him, her designer blazer, the lucky one she wears to all her big client meetings, now slightly rumpled from hours of tests. "Mr. Chen," Dr. Harrison gestures, "please join us in my office." The next 20 minutes blur into a collision of medical terminology and future projections. Early onset Parkinson's disease, progressive deterioration, treatment options, quality of life management. Michael finds himself focusing on absurd details. The slight scratch in the doctor's voice, the way Sarah's right foot keeps tapping against the chair leg, the framed medical degree hanging slightly crooked on the wall. Sarah's voice cuts through his daze. "But I just got the Anderson account," she says, her laugh brittle and sharp. "They're expecting concept designs by next month." The tremor in her hand has intensified, and Michael watches as she grips the armrest, her knuckles whitening with the effort to stay still. Dr. Harrison begins outlining their next steps: specialists to consult, medications to consider, lifestyle modifications to implement. Michael nods mechanically while his mind races ahead. Their 3rd-floor walk-up apartment, Sarah's precise work at the design firm, their Sunday morning rock climbing sessions, their plans to start a family next year. When Sarah reaches for the prescription papers, her hand shakes so badly that the forms flutter to the floor. 3 pairs of hands move to retrieve them, but Michael is fastest. As he hands them back to his wife, their eyes meet, and in that moment, he sees past her carefully maintained composure to the fear beneath. Without a word, he shifts his chair closer, letting his shoulder press against hers, solid, present, unwavering. "We should call your sister," he says softly, already reaching for his phone. It's the first practical thing he can think to say, anchoring them both in the familiar when everything else seems to be shifting like sand beneath their feet. Michael stands in the doorway of their home, seeing it through new eyes. Each room holds memories of their 7 years here. The living room where they danced after closing on the house. The kitchen where Sarah stress-baked during difficult projects. The sunlit corner where they'd planned to put a nursery. Now, he surveys it all with an architect's precision and a husband's love, plotting invisible changes that will preserve both safety and dignity. The transformation begins subtly. The textured wallpaper in the hallway appears purely decorative, its raised pattern creating an elegant damask effect that happens to help with depth perception and balance. Their friends complement the new industrial-checked copper pipes that run along strategic walls, never guessing that actually support rails disguised as modern design elements. In his Tuesday caregiver support group, Michael shares his latest triumph. "I replaced our kitchen cabinet handles with these matte black pulls that have a wider grip surface. Sarah's book club met at our house yesterday, and Jen, the interior designer, asked where we got them. She wants the same ones for her new condo." The group leader, Grace, smiles knowingly. "It's not just about making things accessible," she says. "It's about making them beautiful too. That's what preserves dignity." Back home, Michael's most ambitious project takes shape in their kitchen. The countertops now house clever innovations, a mounted peeler that grips vegetables firmly, allowing them to be prepared one-handed, a collection of what appears to be artisanal ceramic bowls, each actually weighted and stabilized to prevent tipping. Cutting boards with almost invisible raised edges that keep items from sliding off. "These are gorgeous," Sarah's sister Emma remarks during a Sunday dinner, picking up one of the new knives with its ergonomic handle. "Where did you find them?" Sarah catches Michael's eye across the kitchen island, a small smile playing at her lips. She's begun to see their home's transformation not as a reminder of her condition, but as evidence of their ability to adapt together. "Michael has a gift for finding beautiful solutions," she says, running her hand along the smooth surface of their new adjustable height dining table, a piece that looks like it belongs in a design magazine rather than a medical supply catalog. That evening, as Sarah hosts her monthly book club, Michael observes from his home office. The women move through the adapted space naturally, no one noticing how the new floor lamps eliminate shadows that could cause confusion, or how the rearranged furniture creates clear pathways while maintaining the room's flow. When Linda comments on the amazing renovation, Sarah beams with genuine pride. Later, after their guests leave, Sarah finds Michael in their bedroom. "You've made me feel normal in a world that isn't designed for me anymore," she says softly, touching the elegant bedside rail that looks like a modern art installation. "You're not just modifying our home, you're preserving our future." Michael takes her hand, feeling the slight tremor that's become as familiar as her heartbeat. "I learned from the best," he replies. "You've always known how to make functional things beautiful. I'm just following your lead."